Audit being live streamed. Never ever forget to press the record button. I used to have to put a little note on my monitor, press the record button. So I did an entire 2.5 hour webinar one time with Penny Pearl. To get done, man, it was unbelievable. It was awesome. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to press the record button. Holy cow. So it was a Friday. We had to get together on Saturday and redo the whole thing. So, but it turned out to be one of my best performing YouTube videos, which was good. So, all right, welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Business Owners Mastermind Call. My name is John Pyron, the Business Doctor. I'm your host, and I've got my co-host here, Mr. Alan Reeves. Alan, say hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Okay.
Should I just be on LinkedIn instead of in your room?
Say that again?
Am I in the wrong place? Should I be just on LinkedIn instead of in your room with the speakers?
Oh, this is the main page right here.
Oh, okay, great. Just making sure.
And so we do this call every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, specifically for small business owners. And so a lot of people will get this on the podcast channel, YouTube, whatever other means that they do it. But today, this is the 4th Thursday of the month, so we talk about accounting and bookkeeping on today's call. That's our topic. And so I have let me go ahead and do this here real quick. Give me a second. It all. Okay, so have an expert in bookkeeping, Lisa Portnova. In fact, she is the person I recommend to my clients for bookkeeping. She's the person that does the bookkeeping for my own companies. And so we're going to basically ask her questions, and any questions that you have about bookkeeping for a small business, that is something that you're going to want to bring up on this live call. So today, what's interesting about today, I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier, and I started my very first business October 28th, 1990. And so I was having a conversation with a friend of mine because I'm helping a buddy of mine, Pat Walsh, build a company. And he's like, yeah, I want to be a part of the deal, et cetera, you know. And so I said, well, send me your name and phone number. And I looked down at my watch and it said the 28th. I'm like, oh, wait, this is like 31 years today. You know, I've been building businesses for 31 years. So it was kind of interesting in that short moment of time to go back in history and go through memory lane and look at all the different things that you learn as a business owner. If you actually had to read a book to start a business and succeed in a business, you probably would never start a business, because I don't think there's enough lifetime to actually get through all the books on how you need to build a business and everything that can happen. And, you know, Jupiter lined up with Saturn this way today, and so this problem happened. And I mean, it's unbelievable. So business is one of those things where you have an idea, you look at, okay, is there a need in the market for that idea? Am I passionate about that idea? Am I willing to help others? And the more people that you help, the more money you'll make and the more successful you'll be. And so had I known back then what I know now, but hindsight's crystal clear. But I will tell you this, the one area of business that I see most small business owners get lazy at, including myself, okay? And Lisa can attest to this. It's like, hey, I'm looking for a new bookkeeper to do my books, and I think the last time my books were reconciled was April of this year, because I don't want to do that crap. I really don't, you know? But it has to be done, because if I ever end up in a situation where I'm in front of an IRNS agent, if I don't have my bookkeeping together, then all that's going to do is trigger in that auditor's mind is like, well, if he screwed up here, where else is he screwed up at? You know? And so all it takes is one thing in your accounting and your bookkeeping to be screwed up for that IRS person to go, you know what? I think what we need is the last 12 months of bank statements. And you know what? Why don't we just go ahead and look at the previous year? And then all of a sudden, now you get another letter, goes, you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and look at the previous year prior to that. Now, how do I know this? From personal experience. Okay. It's like, I remember the letter, man. I got it in 2005, and it was like, hey, we want to audit your mileage, because it's always one thing. They want to audit one thing or a couple of things, and so I sent him the document, and he goes, well, we're going to need to see your bank statements, and I'm like, for 2004, and I go, now I'm being transparent here because I don't really care. It's like you got to be able to share your good and your bad in order to help somebody. And so 2004, I sent him the bank statements, and he's like, hey, what are all these $100 deposits? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, and what happened was my wife at the time had a friend of hers that she was cleaning her house, and they were paying her $100 a week. And I told her, don't deposit that money, okay? But she did anyways. Well, because I didn't have the bookkeeping done, now I had it done on my company, but I wasn't having bookkeeping done on my personal finances, which now I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm doing that too. It's like, all of a sudden he goes, hey, you know what? I think we need the 2003 bank statements. And oh, by the way, why don't you send us the 2002 statements? And when everything was said and done, I think it was like, I don't know, it's only $9,000 in income from this little side hustle business thing that wasn't documented properly, that wasn't entered into the accounting system properly. The auditor was right. I should have had another business set up, okay? But instead I didn't. And this is the number one thing that happens all the time is small business owners, they take their business account, they take their business income, their personal income, they combine it in one account. How many, let me unmute you, Lisa, because I'm gonna just ask you some questions here. Let's see here. Can you unmute yourself? Or I can ask you to unmute. There you go. How many times a year, because you've been doing bookkeeping for a while, how many times do you take on a new small business owner and they got their personal and their business incomes combined?
How many times? I would say probably 95%.
I mean, how often?
95%.
95%.
Yep.
Yeah. And so here I am. The guy comes back to me with his audit, and it's like $9,200 in income, and he goes, oh, okay. Well, you owe us taxes on that. So after the penalty, the fraud penalty, the interest, the taxes, I think they added another $16,000 to the deal, and I'm going, whoa. Time out, Sparky. She's not running a business. She's not running a business. Well, yes, she is. No, she's not. She's cleaning the house for a friend of hers. Well, it's still a business. I go, how is that possible? He goes, well, you own a business, so you know better. And that's what he said. And so I had to get an attorney involved. Long story short, hold on just a second here. It looks like my Zoom went haywire. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
That's why I always connect the audio separate from the video. Alan, since you can hear me, you're going to be the co-host in my eyes and ears until this thing reconnects. So, because I'm on the phone. Are you there? Press.
I am here.
Unmute.
Rock and roll.
All right. So ended up having to hire an attorney, all that stuff, et cetera, whatever. Long story short, had I had a good, solid bookkeeper in place, I would not have had to go through that torture. And so with that said, I want to ask you some questions, Lisa, about bookkeeping. So, because you guys have hundreds of clients, and take a brief moment, tell us what the name of your business is, and where you guys are located and what you can do for a small business owner.
So we are a private firm over in Rockland. It's me and my partner, Garrick. We both run this company. I mainly do bookkeeping and taxes. Our address is 3175 Sunset Boulevard, Suite 102, Rockland, California. Basically, we do all types of bookkeeping. We do full charge bookkeeping. We do payroll. We do anything basically what clients needs and wants. Also, we do private consultations if needed. For example, if you're just a startup company and you need some financial advice in that sense in the books, or if you're just looking to kind of see overview what's going on with your company, we also do that. We also do corporate returns, business returns. We do private returns, anything basically you need.
Awesome, awesome. And so for the sake of small business owners, because that's what this show's all about, let's talk about something of value that, because a lot of people don't understand, especially small business owners, once you hit between about $50,000 to $75,000 a year in revenue, if you're ever audited and the auditor finds out you do not have a bookkeeper, they are going to dig. They're going to dig, and they're going to dig deep, okay? Because they know you don't have your act together. So it's very important you have this place. So let's just talk about, I'm a small business owner. I've been doing it all myself. What are some things that I need to be doing on a regular basis from a bookkeeping standpoint? Just give me some basic stuff to help me out as a small business owner. What do I need? How should I structure my filing system? How should I structure the inflows and the outflows? Can you kind of go over that a little bit?
Yes, certainly. So there are different programs for bookkeeping services. So for example, if you're doing it yourself, you can use an Excel and just keep track of all your expenses versus your income, because that's one of the most important things. Because at the end of the year, when we come down to filing taxes, we need to know exactly how much you brought in and how much you spent. That's one of the things. If you do it in QuickBooks, let's say like I run that program, for example, then you connect your bank and everything flows automatically to QuickBooks with all your expenses. Then the next thing, you have to properly categorize what those expenses are. So that way we can break it down in our tax return at the end of the year. Besides that, every month we want to see where our money are going. It's the second thing. Then the other thing, from the bookkeeper standpoint, we do need to do reconciliation of that account, basically pulling out our bank statement, looking into our software, let's say it's QuickBooks, Excel, or whatever, and we're looking at the ending balance. And that's one of the most important things, because if you ever get audited, your books need to equal to what's in your bank. Basically, every month, we need to have the same amount of the ending balance we have in the books and the bank. That's one of the first things they look at one day if you somehow get audited.
Okay. And so basically having that structure in place is going to give you the foundation that you need, right?
That is true.
And so I would imagine, and I've worked with a lot of bookkeepers over the years, and one of the common things that I regularly come across is somebody comes to you, small business owner, they've been wildly successful, they haven't been doing any bookkeeping, and so what they do is they come to you with their 2 or 3 shoe boxes, okay, with their statements and their receipts and all that stuff. I mean, how common is that?
It is very common, I would say. A lot of times, I would say in the past 3 months, there were situations where I had to close down somebody else's previous books and had to restart over. That's how messy it was. It was piles and piles of receipts. It was just, everything was misplaced over, I would say, a period of 5 years. So I had to do a cleanup worth of like 5 years job. That was pretty difficult, but I love taking on those challenges And that way, now we're all straightened out and we're ready to go ahead in 2021, 2022.
Yep. And so one of the things I'll tell you is once you get behind the 8 ball, it's best to get out from behind it. Okay. Once you start digging a hole, it's best to stop digging. Right. So just putting your head in the sand going, one of these days I need to get to it, which is what a lot of small business owners do. I've done it for sure many times in the different businesses that I've had. But at some point, you're either going to pay now to have it done correctly, or you're going to pay the same amount of money to get it caught up, if not more, if you're in an audit situation, you don't have your act together. So if you get nothing out of this call, absolutely nothing out of this call today, is you need to get your bookkeeping in order. And so I have a client I just took on. I'm talking to him again tonight. But one of the things that I'm doing right out of the gate is I'm bringing Lisa and her company in, and I'm going to audit the bookkeeping. Okay, I'm going to audit it and they're running millions of dollars, lots of employees. But I guarantee you, there's 3 pillars that you have to have in your business. And if you don't, you open yourself up to embezzlement, you open yourself up to mistakes, you open yourself up to problems when it comes to the IR and the S coming to your door. And that is, you need to have a good, solid bookkeeper. Okay. It's a professional bookkeeper. You need to have an accountant, okay, or a CPA to check the bookkeeper's work. Okay. You need to have a good, solid tax professional that is separate from those 2 people. And they need to be completely focused on tax. Not all CPAs, and this is the big mistake that I see people make also, is they think just because the person's a CPA that they're an expert at tax. And that's not the case. There are some CPAs that specialize in tax. Most of them specialize in accounting. So you need to verify. You can literally fail the entire portion of the tax test of the CPA exam and still get your CPA credential. Okay. So I like to look for tax people that specifically focus on business tax. And then the magical question is this: over the last 10 years, because I want somebody that's been in tax for at least 10 years, and not to, say something negative about somebody that's less than 10 years. I want somebody that's been doing it for a while, to be quite honest. And then I want to ask them, how many times have you been audited in that 10-year period of time? How many times has your client's been audited in that period of time? And what do you think? Let me do a little quick panel here. Do you think the tax professional is a great tax professional if he's gone through a lot of audits with his clients and won? Or do you think he's a great tax professional if he's gone through very little audits and won? Which one would you rather hire? Somebody that's been through a lot of audits, or somebody who has been through only a few? What do you think?
It's a shot.
Okay. Here's what I learned from Mike Sastry. Been doing my taxes now. I'm just switching taxes because he's starting to retire. His client has been doing it for 35 years. He's been audited. His clients have been audited, total clients, 8 times. And every single time he punishes the hell out of the IR and the S. So they do not audit his clients because they know he knows what he's doing. When you have a tax professional or a CPA that's their clients are constantly getting audited, there's a reason behind that. It's when the IRS gets that tax return, go, oh, Fred's tax service. Yeah, let's set that aside, Joe. We need to audit that one. There's probably some mistakes in money there, And so you're looking for the right questions when you're interviewing a tax professional, and that is, I want to know how many times you've gone through an audit, and I want to know what the results were, okay? As a CPA, I want to know how you are in business. Are you focused on business, or are you just a bean counter? Because I can hire bean counters all the time. You just go to college and get your certificate and get your CPA, and you can count my beans. But I want somebody who can think outside the box. I want somebody that can embrace, let me share my screen, and everybody should go get this book. It's in the, 37th edition now? Go get this book. You need to get educated as a business owner. Okay? How to Pay Zero Taxes. This is a 37th edition. This dude is an absolute master at all the tax loopholes that you need to know about as a business owner. It's not up to your tax professional. It's not up to your bookkeeper. It's not up to your CPA. You need to go through, this is for business owners. All the different deductions that you can be doing as a business owner, how to document it, how to have that conversation with your tax professional, your bookkeeper, your accountant, and say, hey, I want to do this. Well, I don't, that's a red flag. I don't care. You know, does the law say I can do it? Can I do it? Do I meet the qualifications? Then I should be able to do it. Should never be afraid, especially if you have a good, solid bookkeeper like Lisa, you should never be afraid of an audit, ever. Okay, too many people are afraid of the IRS, and they pay too much more in taxes than they need to be. Okay, but if you have somebody that's a good, solid bookkeeper, somebody that's an accountant to verify the bookkeeping, somebody that's a tax professional, that's how these large companies get down to paying zero taxes, because there's like 40,000 pages to the tax law. And so as a business owner, this is what I would recommend you do. Okay. So with that said, Lisa, what kind of things do you have an audience here? It's just me. So it's me, Carrie, and Alan, and then there's hundreds of people that are gonna, thousands of people are gonna listen to the audio and the recording. And they're your audience. They're small business owners. What are some of the top 10 things or top 5 things that you would say to a business owner that you have to say all the time, and you scratch your head like, why don't they know this?
I would say first thing is keep track of your receipts. That's one of the things. Second thing would be keep educating yourself. Even if you're a business owner, you always have to educate yourself on the present tax laws, on the things that you should be thinking about as a business owner in terms of, I would say, books, in terms of taxes and so forth. The third thing would be always stay on track. If you need help, reach out to somebody that knows how to do certain things. Don't just think that you can just put it aside. That's never a great time, because the longer you wait, the bigger problem it becomes. The fourth thing I would say is keep track of your income. That's another thing, because besides that you keep tracking of expenses, you always have to look, where is the income coming? What am I doing? How can I improve my company? Always think about that. And the fifth thing I would recommend, I know John is a really great business doctor that can really help somebody like me or anybody else in the consulting business. So always, if you need help with expanding your business, you always should ask for it.
Awesome. The one thing that not mentioned, that's probably you would think it would be 101, but you'll probably laugh when I say this. If you're a sole proprietor, small business owner, which most of you are, or even if you're an LLC or an S corp, separate checking account for the business. Okay, not your personal checking account.
That is absolutely true.
When you open up a small business as a sole prop, you really don't need a business account. You need a separate personal checking account. Okay, because no matter what you do, it's going to be tied to your Social Security number with a Schedule C. But you do need to have a separate account. Okay, even if they charge you a $7 a month fee, get the separate account. All the income that comes in for the business goes into the business account, not your personal account. You can write yourself checks from that account, okay? And write yourself checks, okay? Don't connect the two, okay? And keep the expenses separate, because that is the one area, man. They have this supercomputer. They take your bank statements, they feed them in, and if your checkbook, if your accounting system does not match their computer, if it's 1 cent off, they're gonna want to find the 1 cent, because this is what they understand. You haven't been reconciling your bank statements. If I found this one mistake, how many other mistakes are there? Okay. Now, the other good thing is if you do get audited and you win that category, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've changed that law. But once they audit that category and you win it, they can't audit that category for 2 more years. Okay? So make sure that you have your act together. If you drive and you're claiming mileage, download an app called Mile IQ to your cell phone, Android or iPhone, and allow it to turn on. Okay? Even when you're not using the app, turn it on. It's going to track your mileage. Okay? It's going to track your mileage, and then it'll give you a report. You go business, personal, business, personal, business, personal. She mentioned receipts. What are the 5 things that have to exist on a receipt for it to be a deduction, Lisa?
It has to, you mean like what are the expenses that has to be on the receipt?
On a receipt, there's 5 things that have to be on that receipt. Who, what, when, where, why, how much. 6 things, actually.
That is true.
Okay? So in order for that receipt to be a deduction, even though it's a receipt from your business account, they're going to want to know who, what, when, where, why, and how much. The who, the what, you write that on that receipt. The when, where is already on the receipt. The why, you need to write it on the receipt, and the how much is on the receipt. So there's 3 things that you need to write on that receipt. Okay? Then you can do one of 2 things. There's all kinds of cool apps on the iPhone now or Android that you can scan the receipt. It scans it into QuickBooks or whatever you're using, makes your bookkeeper super duper happy, and you got a copy of the receipt. Any other suggestions there, Lisa?
The other thing that my other company is doing that I'm doing books for, they're a pretty large company, and they actually bought, because they get a lot of checks and they have a lot of invoices, they actually bought a scan checker. So what they do, like the check scanner, so they like put their checks in and it's automatically uploads on it. So it's kind of the same thing as like, the other apps on your iPhone, but like, oh, that company gets about like 100 to 150 checks a day. So as soon as they run it through that machine, it goes straight to QuickBooks and it accounts for those invoices. So basically it makes it super easy to see and it's already on there. So I can see all of those open invoices. Then after all, I just go and match them up and then all the info is in there. So we know we're right. So that's another thing, but I would suggest that for a bigger company, I would say, not necessarily for a smaller company, but those that have about, I would say, 50 to 100 open invoices, they should be running that. That's an actually very cool thing, and it really helps you out.
Saves a lot of time, and so I'm going to make one comment about that, and I want to open it up to all the other business owners here to add their little tips and tricks about bookkeeping and accounting, because we all deal with it. Is I found a huge difference between a major bank like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, versus a local small business bank. And the thing I like about a local small business bank for my business, they come to me. Okay, they come to me. They bring me the check scanner. They set it up. They show me how to do it, and it's phenomenal. I don't have to go to the bank and make a deposit. I don't have to do any of that stuff. Okay, and so if you're just getting started in business, develop that relationship now. Once you have 2 years in business, then the bank can do a whole lot more for you. And if they're a small business bank, they got a lot more flexibility than a large bank. So that would be probably my number 1 tip. So Carrie, what do you got for us? You've been a small business owner forever. What are some of the lessons you've learned from bookkeeping and accounting, and ahas and lessons that you can share with our audience?
Let somebody else do it. I mean, that's the biggest one. Please take it off my hands, right? So, and especially being prepared for taxes, as you say, that's huge. But there's so much more collateral to be prepared for taxes if you're using some of the strategies. I used to work for Sandy Botkin, and of course he has small business tax strategies that are amazing, and you can hand those over to your bookkeeper too. So having the right strategies is also a big deal.
Yeah.
Whether you're paying your family.
What about you, Alan? Oh, go ahead. Whether you're paying your family or what?
whether you're having dinner with your spouse and talking business or paying your kids, and that's a write-off, or, depending on how the laws are these days. I am certainly not a CPA and I don't claim to be one, and they seem to be a bit of a moving target. So the key, of course, is having, as Lisa is, a small business bookkeeper, a small business CPA. They aren't all created equal.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned about the child tax credit, because it's still actually a law right now, is it used to be prior to Trump's tax deal, you had to be 7.5 years old, and your parents could have you work in their business, and they could pay you up to $6,345 without paying any business taxes on that money. And when he took over, he raised that threshold to now they can pay you up to $12,000 without the business paying any taxes, and there is no age. So you can have, like 4 or 5 year old emptying the trash cans and pay them. Then on top of that, he is allowing that law actually allows you to fully fund an educational or regular IRA for an additional $6,000 per year without the employer paying any taxes on that money. And so each child can be an $18,000 write-off to the company until they are 18 years old. So if you think about, if you got a kid that's 15, 16, 17 years old, and you can employ them in your business, literally the first $18,000 isn't going to cost you anything as a business owner.
Those are the strategies that most people don't get to hear unless they have the right accountant.
Unless they work with somebody like me. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's true, but we can't give that advice literally. We have to say, go ask your accountant.
I full disclosure, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a tax person. I just have great tax people I work with, and they educate me on this stuff. So,
and Sandy's book is awesome. He's got an updated version. So,
Yeah. Alan.
So I'll come at this a little sideways, as I am known to do. For the small business owners out there that want that are focused on their accounting and bookkeeping, one of the basics that I've seen, and it's just absolutely catastrophic, is maybe you use QuickBooks, maybe you're working off of spreadsheets or whatever. Make sure that stuff is backed up. I know that we're in a different world now. QuickBooks Online is wildly popular, and that's what Intuit is supporting and moving toward. They would kill QuickBooks Desktop today if they could, but there are millions of installations still out there. And you got popular cloud services. Xero's a competitor, Wave Apps is a competitor. They're all out there, but if you have local data, even if it's in Google Drive or you think you're fine because you're putting your stuff in OneDrive, you better have a third-party backup of it. I say this from experience as an IT business owner that suffered a data corruption issue with QuickBooks back in 2014. And I had to pay a few $1,000s to have everything recreated from scratch. And we had backups. But there was corruption in the database. And when we did the forced QuickBooks upgrade to 2014, it threw our AR out of whack. It quintupled the amount that we were actually owed. And it was all due to corruption. So we restored from backup, and guess what? Did the same thing. The corruption went back for months. So you've got to make sure, again, this is not bookkeeping advice. This is business best practices advice. I came across a gentleman one time who owned a landscaping company and had a problem with his computer, and he thought he did a system restore. And in reality, he restored the computer back to factory and erased his entire accounting file. So be cognizant of how important this is to your business and address it accordingly, just like everything else we're saying here.
Yeah. You mentioned backup, and I know we're talking bookkeeping time. It centers around accounting. This is back in 2001. I had a client and we had, I think, I don't know, 15 engineers. And this is back when we had tape drives, right? So you had to put a tape drive in to back it up, and then you would do a rotation and take one, put it in the safe, take them off site, etc. And they started doing what's called spanning tapes. Well, in the IT world, you don't do that. You don't want to do that. So backup is a nightmare. The restore process. So said, hey, you need to spend $834. Remember it like it was yesterday. It's the most painful thing I've watched a client go through. You need to spend $834. It's going to be $250 to install it. Sign here. No, we don't want to do that. This is in March. No, we don't want to do that. We want to wait for the next budget cycle in July. And I go, hey, man, we're spanning tapes, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I took no from the office manager. Okay. And I'm going to tie this to bookkeeping and accounting here in a second. So just bear with me. Took no from the office manager, not the owner of the company. So she pulled my engineer aside, Vicky, and said, hey, can't we just selectively back up certain files and reduce the size of our backup versus having to buy a bigger tape drive? And she goes, oh yeah, we can do that. No problem, man. So those two hopped on there and they selected, we want to back this up, this up, this up, this up, this up, not this, not this, not this. So they got the size down. Okay. They didn't understand is the hidden files behind the scene. And so, so everything was great. Life was great. It's all good. Now this is a $35 million company. Okay. They donate money. Okay. They're an association. Okay. They print money. $834 plus $250 install is nothing. She goes to Europe, the office manager, for vacation. 2 weeks into her vacation, the server, I told you the story before, Alan, the fan in the server room failed, the air conditioner, the servers, I'd never seen this since, physically melted to the box. Okay. I was like, oh my God, no problem. We got a backup, right? So we go out and we get a new server, we put it in, we restore the backup, everything's going great. They have an audit because they're a nonprofit. They get audited every year in June, ready for the fiscal year. And lo and behold, the accounting system's corrupt. Okay? Because they forgot to back up certain files. Long story short, had to hire 4 temps, full time, brand new, all this stuff to get. It was a $75,000 deal over an $834 hard drive. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, the owner says to me, who made this decision? And I go, well, Kathy did. I don't, he was pissed. He goes, I don't give a shit. I own the company. I don't want you allowing somebody in my company making a decision that affects my whole business without my permission. Do you understand that? Do you understand how much I could sue your ass for right now? Okay. He was pissed. Now, here's how it ties to bookkeeping and accounting. If you're a small business owner, I'm going to get a little under your skin right now, and I hope it does. But you may take everything that we've talked about here today and go, you know what? I've been going great ever since. You know, I've been, dude, look at me, man. I'm doing $3 million, man, without any bookkeeping at all, without any checks and balances in place, and we're great. You're great until a problem happens, and that's what Carrie's talking about. Everything is great and smooth until the crap hits the fan. And what you don't want to have happen is you get a letter from the IR and the S going, hey, we want to audit your 2020 and 19 return. And then all of a sudden you go back, oh, shoot. Okay, well, here's the returns. Okay, we want the receipts for this. Receipts? What do you mean receipts? We want your mileage log for this. Mileage log? You know, my neighbor Joe told me I didn't have to keep a mileage log. Okay? This type of crap happens all the time, and I get sick and tired of running across business owner after business owner after business owner that literally has gotten bad advice from their buddy Joe or their neighbor, Sally, who's an expert at nothing. Okay? So if you think spending the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a month on bookkeeping and accounting and checks and balances is too much, then here's my advice to you. Get out of business. Okay? That rooster is going to come home to roost at some point in time. And what you don't want is to be in a situation where it affects not only you, but your family and the lives of the people that you employ. So I can't tell you how strong I feel about this. If you don't have your act together there, you need to reach out to Lisa. You know, if you want Lisa's information, text me, 916-741-0596, 916-741-0596. I'll get your contact information, or actually, Lisa, how do they get a hold of you?
You can either call our office at 916-259-1402, extension 102. Again, 916-259-1402, extension 102. Or you can send me a text to my cell phone at 916-547-9199.
Okay. And you guys can do, bookkeeping is one of those things, you can be in Tennessee and you can still do their bookkeeping.
Exactly.
You know? So there's a hint there for my buddy Alan there. You and Alan are in the same tip group. Okay. You guys are definite power partners in this group. And you got a lot of clients that, because I'm going to switch gears and go into some sales stuff real quick because we got some time, and why not? You know, money solves all kinds of problems. So if you, as a business owner, are like, man, I got to pay an extra $400 or $500 to hire a bookkeeper. Well, let me give you the money for free. How about that? Okay. So you go and find two power partners like Alan and Lisa here. Alan's got about over 500 active clients. Lisa's got over 1,000 active clients. And the two get together and they go, hey, let me get to know you. Let me get to know what you're looking for. What is a good client for you next month? In fact, why don't we both set a goal? Why don't we try a trial run in a partnership here, a reciprocal referral relationship going into November? Why don't I, Lisa, let me target 4 quality referrals for you, 1 a week in the month of November. And how about you do the same? Let's find 4 quality referrals for me, Alan, in the month of November. And at the end of November, you guys come back together and go, hey, how did that work out? Here's how it's going to work out. You guys are going to actually have to spend some time together to get to know, like, and trust each other. That's number 1. Number 2, you're going to have to explain to each other what is a really good client for both of you, the ideal client. Number 3, you both role play your pitch that you're going to say when you're talking to a potential referral for each other. You get that nailed down, do it on Zoom, record it, okay? And then you make about 5 to 10 calls that week to your existing customers. It's a power-based call. It's like, hey, Joe, it's Alan Reeves, man. How you doing? Doing great, Alan. How you doing? Oh, man, I'm doing great. Hey, the reason for the call, just want to make sure you're happy with the service. And I want to talk to you about my new friend, Lisa. Okay, Lisa's in a business owners referral group that I'm a part of. And dude, I got a chance to meet her. I got a chance to talk to her. I got a chance to know, like, and trust her. I want your opinion about her. Okay. And the reason I'm calling you is you're one of my top clients, one of my favorite clients, and I know you'll give me honest feedback. So can I have her give you a call? And I want you to talk to her about her bookkeeping services. If you like what she has to say, hire her, don't hire her. That's up to you. But I want to get your honest feedback about her because I'm thinking about making her a permanent referral partner for myself. Can you do that for me? He's going to say yes. Now, if you're worried about I'm talking too fast and you didn't have a chance to take notes, good news is this is going to be transcribed on Audit. You can go back and listen to the audio, watch the video, get the transcript. I'll give it to you on a silver platter. This works in every industry, okay? And Lisa does the same to Alan. Now, everything I just said, for all of you that are listening or watching the recording, I just took away your financial excuse, okay? Carrie here does interest savings, okay? Trust me, she's going to charge you to work with you, okay? So you need money. You take the one strategy I just gave you and you execute on it, you will have the money to pay all 3 of these people here. Okay, there's no excuse. Don't ever, like we just signed a deal on a house. We're gonna move in a couple of weeks, and when I found out what the numbers were, I'm like, oh my god. And I go, wait, that's not what Kiyosaki told me a long time ago. Oh wait, do I want it? Yeah. Well, actually, I didn't say that. I go, honey, do you want it? Hey, that's the truth, right? We're out there, we're walking through it, and it's 7.5 acres, it's 3,200 square, it's got a pond with fish, it's got all this stuff. I'm like, this is like out in the middle of freaking nowhere, 25 miles away from civilization. I'm going, I don't know that I want to live here. But I see the glow in her eyes, you know, I see the smile. She's all giddy. I'm like, you want this, don't you? And then she goes, yeah. And I go, okay. I'm like, man, the immediate thought was like, oh my God. And I'm like, wait, who's paying for this? Wait, I'm not paying for this. So I went and found a client to pay for it. It's exactly what I did. I called up a couple of people. I said, hey man, I got an open slot for a new client. They look just like this, blah, blah. Who do you know? I made 3 phone calls. Okay. I got 4 referrals. I landed 2 clients out of the deal, and I'm taking their money and giving it to that person so my wife can be happy. Okay. And that's how you do business. That's how you take bookkeeping, accounting, money, and you make it work for you. You decide what you want. You make sure that's what you want. And then you go find somebody to pay for it. And the strategy I just gave Alan, Lisa, Carrie, and everybody else that's going to listen to this recording will work every single time. If it does not work for you, it's because you didn't follow the instructions. And I'm going to take away this next excuse, because you can always go to johnpyron.com, click on book appointment. Okay. I'll give you 10 minutes of my time, and I'll tweak your little script so you can be successful. Then you can go out and make the money, and you can hire me. Okay. Or somebody that I've coached. However you want to do it. But never let money in your business be an excuse for not doing things right. And today we're talking about bookkeeping, accounting, finance, and tax. And if you don't have professionals, Carrie gave you the best advice of the entire call. Don't do it yourself. Okay? Hire somebody. Okay? That's enough of my rant. Anybody else got anything else they would like to discuss today from a mastermind perspective? It can be anything. Nope. Okay. Everybody got value out of today?
Yes.
Okay. Let's kind of go around robin real quick. What's your number one takeaway from today, Lisa?
I would say that if anybody needs help, they need to find a bookkeeper or somebody to help them with their business as a business consultant. And for me personally, I should not have any excuses in expanding my database and moving forward.
Awesome. Alan.
So it kind of comes back to
number one takeaway.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm.
And with money, that's why you have the business in the first place. Cross the T's and dot the I's, or find somebody that can.
Fantastic. Carrie.
Yeah, that backup is key. I mean, you know, the shoestring that you're running on doesn't back up your system.
No.
I've seen too many things happen.
Backup is everything, man. So, all right. For those of you that are on YouTube watching this, for those of you who are on the podcast watching this, on my website watching this, put in the comment section your number one thing that you got out of today. And because the thing I learned is we all can hear the same message, but we all interpret it different. And so I'd love to hear what your takeaway is and what your thoughts are. And with that said, go out and make it a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll see you right here next Thursday. First Thursday of the month is sales. So we're going to be talking nothing but sales, how to make more money. So with that said, have a great day.